Greetings, salutations, and welcome to SportsLook, the sports television program for the high plains of West Texas and eastern New Mexico. I'm your host, Doc Elder, and because it is homecoming week at Eastern New Mexico University, we got two really high-energy people to be our guests. We got Reagan Hardy. She is the head coach of Greyhound Cheer. We got Brandon Mizuraka. He is the head coach of Greyhound Men's Soccer. I'll finish up with an overtime, but as always, I'll start out with an Eastern recap. Kind of a rough week for Greyhound volleyball. They opened up the season in Lone Star Conference play with a loss to Western New Mexico University. For the Greyhound cross-country squads, the Greyhound ladies had three finishers in the top 20 at the New Mexico Highland Stampede. It was a really good weekend for Greyhound women's soccer. They got a 1-0 victory against Sul Ross. Greyhound guys, even better. They got a 2-0 victory against Sul Ross. And Greyhound Women's Rodeo finished second at the Sul Ross Rodeo. Well, that has been your Eastern recap, so we'll clear this out and we'll bring in our first guest, Reagan Hardy, right now. Welcome back to SportsLook, and a privilege to bring back to this set of SportsLook the head coach of cheer at Eastern New Mexico University, Reagan Hardy. And Reagan, welcome back to SportsLook.
Thank you for having me again. It's always a great time.
The first question I always ask you, because it changes quite frequently, what is your current job title?
Right now, I am the athletics business coordinator and cheer coach and freshman seminar teacher now, actually.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah.
Wow. How did that come about?
Miss Letty just asked me if I would do it. They had a teacher, I think, move possibly, and they needed somebody last minute. And so I jumped in and we're just going for it.
So I'm curious, and for people that don't know, have never seen you on the show before, you are a proud alumna of Eastern New Mexico University. Who did you have for first year experience?
I had Dr. Corey Cole.
What a great guy to start out with.
It was great. We had a small class. I think there was like 7 or 8 of us. And so we got to really get integrated with each other and get to know him really well. So it was a fun time.
And we assume that people who are watching this program probably have some familiarity with Eastern New Mexico University, but if they don't, the first year experience is every first year student takes the class. And what is the purpose of it?
It is just to kind of help the students transition to life in college and at Eastern specifically. So we help them learn how to get around the university and who to talk to for different needs, and just kind of give them like a kind of a parent in an aspect, just somebody that they can lean on and ask any questions they have.
And the goal, I mean, the reason that we started this way back in the day was because we had, and we'll be completely honest, we had a pretty horrific retention rate. And we figured out that a lot of students left because they just didn't feel connected to the university. So that's what this program does.
Yeah, no, it's been really good so far. I have a good group. I have 23 students, and they're all a great bunch.
And how do you help them try to get connected to the university? Do you have them do special things?
I have them do like journals telling me how they feel every week. Just kind of give me an outlook on how they feel about Eastern and like what we can do better to help them fit in or feel like they fit in more here at the university, and try to get them to stay. As you said, retention is always our biggest priority.
And it's interesting. I was actually one of the first year experience. We did a trial run of it back in the late 90s, and I was asked to be one of the professors that piloted the program, and that was one of the things that I had my students do. So it's good to see it's still a tradition.
Yeah, that's awesome. I bet you're a great first year experience teacher.
Well, I'd like to think most of them came back, and
Yeah.
I saw quite a few of them walk across the stage and graduate. So
Awesome, yeah.
4 years from now, that'll be a good experience for you.
Yeah, hopefully. I can't wait to watch.
So is there just random assignment to your first year experience class, or is it specifically built around a theme?
Just random assignment from what I can tell.
And they were just lucky enough that you stepped in at the last minute to be the instructor.
Well, I'm lucky that they asked me.
So and I'm curious, we brought you on to talk about cheer, but this is really interesting to me.
Yeah.
So what's the biggest adjustment to teaching that you thought like, yeah, I got this covered? And it's like, whoa, this is harder than it looks.
Um, Probably I have a very quiet class and they don't really talk that much during class, so it's just me kind of lecturing in a way to them, and I'm just not used to that. I'm more of a conversation person, so it's odd to be just at the front of the class, just hey, then I'll ask you a question, they all just the wide eyes staring, you know? So that's been the biggest adjustment is learning how to kind of call people out individually and make somebody answer without making them feel uncomfortable in
Mhm.
class.
Yeah, I know. It was a big adjustment for me because most people who voluntarily go into teaching as opposed to being asked to fill in at the last second, most of us are the type of kids that were sitting in the front and we're raising our hand, ooh, ooh, and they wanted to answer questions. And to get kids that don't want to answer questions, well, how do you help them be comfortable?
Yeah. Yeah, it's been a bit of a struggle, but it's fun. It's challenging in a different way that I'm used to, so it keeps me on my toes every day.
Well, and you see, this is why I always ask you when you're my guest, what's your job? Because your
Yeah.
job title does change all
Something
the
new
time.
every time.
So you and I, right before we went on air, we were talking a little bit about the fact that there's been a significant change in the athletic department. We've got a new athletic director, Kevin Fight, and talk a little bit about the early going. What's the early word on Kevin as an athletic director?
Yeah, so Kevin's a great man. He's already came in and just helped us just change our culture as an athletic department. I think it's going to be. He has some really great ideas, and he has the drive to get us to accomplish his goals and our goals as a department. He came in and met with everybody individually and asked us what our goals were and kind of asked what we wanted to see happen here at Eastern and how we can get there. And he's really pushed us all to better ourselves and better the department. So it's been really great.
And obviously, as people found out, because Kevin was my guest last week and I had a chance to talk to him, and people found out that he and I are both Iowans. We both went to the same university in Iowa, and we both majored in the same subject. But I really like to hear that rather than just coming in and saying, "This is what I want to do," he actually listened to what you said you'd like to do.
Yeah, he gave us all a voice of our own and let us tell him what we want and really took that to heart and is helping us achieve what we want to achieve here.
So let me ask you, what was on Reagan Hardy's wish list? What was the number one thing you'd like?
I personally would like the whole university as one unit. Our whole thing is one Eastern. Dr. Johnston kind of established that, I believe, and that's something that we in athletics really want to happen. Just we have the literal bridge that goes across campus to all of our facilities, and we want to just make that a figurative bridge and integrate the two sides together.
And I here again, and we're being completely honest here on Sports Lake, not always the case. I mean, there have been times in my 30 years here that I mean, it could be like the Pacific Ocean between
Yeah.
Greyhound Arena and the rest of campus.
hmm
So how do we bridge the gap?
I think just open communication and being just open to each other's on both sides ideas and how to best cultivate a culture here at Eastern.
There you go.
Yeah.
Well, let's since we did bring you, as the logo says, we brought you on to talk about cheerleading. Talk a little bit about the experience this year of getting the cheer squad together.
Yeah, so this has been, I would say, might be biased, but I would say this is the best year yet. I have 14 really great athletes right now that all just want to be the best that they can be, and they've all put in the work with me and just let me have a great year so far. So it's been really fun. We had a second little tryout, you could say, I guess, like an open practice at the beginning of the year, and grew our numbers from 8 to that 14, and they're all just amazing. The new ones especially came in with some of them had no prior experience and just gave it their all, and
Wow.
they're just doing great, very quick learners, and it's just been amazing.
So I always ask you, what's the demographic of your cheerleading squad? Primarily underclassmen or upperclassmen or a mixture of both?
I have a mixture of both. A lot of freshmen this year and some transfer students, which is always fun. One graduate student, and then most New Mexico residents.
Excellent.
Yeah.
And I don't think I've ever asked you this question. So is there like a major that's pretty common, or are they all across the campus?
They're all over. I have some in business, some in criminal justice, some in um, speech pathology. I can never say that word.
That's why we're not
Yeah,
speech
right,
pathologists because we can't even say it.
right. I really just have everyone. I have quite a few music majors this year, actually, which has been interesting because they do band and cheer at the same time. I'm like, how are you everywhere at once? But they make it work pretty well.
And what's they learn from you, obviously, because and here again for people who've never seen an episode with you, you were a cheerleader for Eastern New Mexico, so obviously you know what you're talking about. But what do you learn from each squad?
Each squad has a very different culture, I would say. This year we are like more family oriented, I would say. In previous years, it's kind of like get in and get your job done. This year, like they're already asking me, we have 4 birthdays this month. Like, can we have a party in the cheer room and just celebrate each person? And I had one girl text earlier asking if anybody was allergic to things because she's baking a cake for a girl's birthday on Friday. And it's just really great to see them interact in that way and less of like a get in and get your job done and get out and more of just a family environment, I'd say.
So, of all the cheers that your squad does for football,
Mhm.
is there one cheer that they really like the best, or is it pretty much like they like them all?
Um, I think they like them all to an extent. We have like our more generic cheers that we use for football and basketball that they kind of get more use out of, but
Mhm.
we have a whole list of them that they just kind of go down. My mom was making me laugh. She came to the first football game and we have a literal list of cheers and I put them in front of there's a big rock down on the field and
Yep.
my 2 captains were down looking at the rock and my mom texted me and said it looks like they're praying to this rock. You might want to move that. So yeah, but I would say, we have one that's just ENMU Go Go that they probably do more than any of the others.
Mhm.
But yeah.
And I know I've asked you this question in the past, so I'll ask it again. Do they get an input on like if they'd seen a cheer someplace else? Are you open to suggestion?
Yeah, definitely. That is one thing, especially I have 3 returners this year. They're my, 3 captains, and they came in this year with a bunch of ideas, and they'll send me videos all the time and say, "What if we try to do something like this?" And it's always nice because they have a different um, outlook than I do. Like they have a different point of view, and so they see things. They're like, "Oh, I really want to try this, but I don't know how." And so they'll bring it to me, and I'll be like, "Okay, yeah, we can do that." And I kind of figure out the technicalities of how to do it and the safest way, especially stunt wise. So yeah, but I'm really open. Anything that they want to try, I'm pretty open for the most part.
Well, Reagan, it's amazing how fast time flies. We're almost out, but I wanted to say that I have a much greater appreciation for cheer now than I did in the past because I have a granddaughter who cheers for Dora. And so
Oh,
I go out and
fun!
watch her cheer. It's like, wow, that's a lot harder, a lot more complicated than I thought. So I've enjoyed watching your squad this year and look forward to seeing him Saturday night for our homecoming game.
Yes, we can't wait. We'll see you Saturday night.
All right, well, that will wrap up our first interview segment. So we'll clear the set and we'll bring in the head man of Greyhound men's soccer, Brandon Mizuraka, right now. Welcome back to SportsLook, and an honor to bring back to the set of SportsLook the head coach of Greyhound men's soccer, as we would say here in the United States, football, as the rest of the world knows it, Brandon Mizuraka. And coach, welcome back to the show.
Yeah, it's good to be back.
It's hard to believe you are in your third year.
I know time has flown. I was thinking about that on the drive in, just thinking about first time doing the interview and so nervous. My palms were probably sweating and all that fun stuff. And now it's good to be back again.
And from what you were telling me before we went on the air,
Mhm.
that you are now a seasoned veteran when it comes to media because of
Exactly.
your summer experience.
Exactly. No. Good time with the Matadors this summer. Busy, but anytime you can speak and get more comfortable in front of the camera, the better. I mean, I think you just got to relax, right? Kind of like when you're in school and having to give a presentation, it's all the same at the end of the day. So,
Brandon, how did that come? How did your gig with the Lubbock squad come about?
Yeah, they called me in, I think it was March. Had heard, I mean, I've been out in this area, right, for 5 to 7 years now, it seems like. So, to just, you know, be able to, I think the history has kind of spoken for itself in building a group. And, you know, they were kind of in the same boat where, I mean, they've consistently been building up, their club. And I mean, they're eventually going to probably go full time pro. So, it was just a kind of a match and, it made sense. So,
In some ways, I imagine it's coaching. The coaching
yeah.
is the same, but in some ways, it's a lot different than coaching on the college level. So, what
Yeah.
was the big difference?
Yeah, I think just personalities. At the end of the day, you're working with these, men for 3 months, and then everyone goes their separate ways. We had a 33-year-old pro that had been pro since he was 18 years old, so had played at some of the highest leagues, and actually played as a senior player on for the same clubs as some of our younger, actually the boys here at Eastern. So it was really interesting. So a lot of personalities, some egos, right? I like big personalities. I mean, I'm sure you could probably see even with our squad here. So it was just kind of that mixture. And when you're working with an older group, you get a little bit of a different relationship. It's more man management than anything else.
Because it is your 3rd year, you've got some guys that have been with you for a
Yeah.
while, and, talk a little bit about your returners this year.
Yeah, seniors. I mean, finally we have seniors, right? That this is a unique one. So we have Ludwig, senior, who's been here for 3 years. Larice, who's been here. I think he's played probably the most out of everyone. And he's been here for 3 years. He actually was also Loris and Ludwig were with me at Panhandle. Catalan is a senior. He came in the second year, but he was with me at Panhandle as well. You have Nick, and then Alex Mirez, and then Caio Alves as well. So a good group of seniors that we're going to be really excited about walking across that stage in May, and watching them progress and with their lives. So.
I imagine they all are leaders in their own way, but if you had to say out of that group that you just mentioned, the guy that really brings leadership to the pitch every
Yeah,
day, who's the best leader out of that group?
that's tough. You're gonna put me on the spot here. I'm
I
gonna get in
know, man.
trouble. No, I think that they all bring their own, different pieces. To be quite fair, like, when we do our end of the season meetings, we always ask like, who's the best teammate, X, Y, Z, and a name that came up quite a bit that we weren't really expecting was Alex Miras. Just because he's super comfortable around others and really positive and wants to take boys under his wing and really guide them. So having him, and I mean, he's played at unbelievable standards, right? You don't play for the French U17 national team unless you're a proper player. So, having players like him, Lloris, I mean, he's just steady. You know exactly what you're going to get. And, you know, Ludwig, I mean, he's pretty intimidating at 6'5", when you're hearing him speak German. So, no, I mean, he brings a presence back there as well, which is great.
And talk about the newcomers.
Yeah, some new faces, right? Like I think that some of them, like Kevin Nunez, he actually was here when the program was before it got cut, and then he ended up moving on with John over at CMU. So he's come back to the state, which is really great. We have Piro, who stepped into a role just recently and is excelled there as well. And we've been very pleased with the upperclassmen, the juniors and seniors, taking those young freshmen and sophomores and really growing them, which is really good.
And unfortunately, you had a couple of youngsters, a redshirt freshman by the
Hmm.
name of Landon Gray, who
Yep.
started first match for you. You had a
Hmm.
young man from England, Teddy
Yep.
McIntyre. Both of those guys had to go on injured reserve for
Yep.
a while.
Yeah. It happens. It's football. That's the saying, is that it's football, and you just everyone's dealing with injuries. So for us, I mean, nice thing is that I think that we're a fairly deep roster. I mean, heck, I mean, we haven't had our full roster up until really, well, we haven't yet, but I mean, for the most part, we start getting some of the older boys back, this last week. So, it's good to see some of those returners back, and we're hoping that, Landon being back is a great, addition. And, Teddy being down right now, we have a speedy recovery hopefully for him. And, we have a really good physio in Sierra Morris. I mean, she's top notch. I mean, she's coming from San Jose Earthquakes. So, soccer, specific trainer. I mean, you can't ask for anything better, and one that's our own, right? So,
And speaking of last week, you guys got a quality 2-0
yeah,
victory in Lone Star
yeah.
Conference play against Solid Rock. Thanks to the Flow Sports Network, we actually have highlights. So let's cue up the highlight reel
Let's
and
do
walk
it.
us through it.
Let's do it.
Good job of clearing.
Yeah, just banging it. I mean, could have probably pressed off of that one, but it's all right. And that was the thing, is we didn't really give up that many chances, which was really nice. I mean, having Lou back there, and I mean, Chris has been an amazing addition, to be quite fair. Um, Good on Gianni for driving at first and trying to actually commit that man. But this ball that Alex is going to play, I mean, just phenomenal. And Pablo, 2 goals on the year already. So, all right, caught a good clean catch. It's nice having Alex back.
Yeah.
Yeah. He just brings a calm demeanor to the team. And then, we got Johnny back this last week, so it's been nice to have him. I mean, he was on limited minutes, when we went out to Midwestern, so it's good to have him back.
I was really surprised. I don't know when they made the rule change, but I mean, you can just grab the ball and throw it in now. You don't have to wait like you used to.
Yeah, no, I mean, well, that's something that we've been, we call it murder ball.
Oh,
And we
man.
try to get the ball back in as quickly as possible. And Chris with the athleticism, I mean, you know, and then just another good goal. That's eerie, similar to his goal against Northeastern from the other day. So it's really good. I mean, second goal for Arthur as well. So
Speaking of which, playing against Northeastern had to be
mhm.
kind of weird because you had to play on real grass.
Yeah, it was nice. It was nice. It was hot. I couldn't imagine it having been on turf. I mean, it was 95. It felt like.
Yeesh.
Yeah, I know it was hot, but Oklahoma weather. So
Yeah,
yeah.
have to be ready for anything in Lone Star
Yeah,
Conference.
exactly. I mean, it's getting more chilly now, which is great. Like, I mean, before the second half of that last match, I went actually to my car and had to get my second jacket because I thought it was pretty cold. But I'm sure the boys were happy. So,
Exactly. Yeah, it was funny. I was broadcasting a women's soccer match,
mm,
and the young man, number 17, Banhire
yep,
from your squad,
Gus.
he was up there, and I thought it was a cold day, and he was
Yeah,
saying, no, as a football player, that's what you want.
yeah. I mean, you want it to be 65, 70. I mean, that's good weather. Where he's from, right? It rains every day, so anything that's sunshine, he'll be happy with.
Speaking of which, there are quite a few guys on your squad that are from England.
Mhm.
Is it just the fact that England's so good in football that there are a lot of guys from there, or do you have a connection that allowed you to get 4 guys
Yeah, I
there?
mean, I think that we have good connections there. I mean, like Gus. I mean, to be fair, I've been recruiting Gus for 3 years. It's been a long time, and unfortunately, couldn't come out initially, and we just kind of stayed in contact, and it just kind of made sense to try to bring him out this year, and so having him here is great. Teddy is another one, and then the other UK boy being Connor as well. So good mixture of boys, which is great.
And I have to tell you, I have Teddy McIntyre. I also
Okay.
have Nick Hunich in
Yeah.
my history class, and nicest young man. And so, and I had Landon Lasser as a
Yeah.
student. So keep sending me
You've got
soccer.
the good ones.
Oh man,
Yeah.
really,
Yeah.
absolutely. So, Coach, we've got about a minute left.
Yeah.
Take us through the rest of the season in terms of home matches when people can come out and
Yeah.
watch your guys.
Yeah. Well, you put me on the spot here. I know that we have DBU at home. We're gonna have we're gonna have Midwestern at home, International at home, and then I'm trying to think of who else. I'm probably missing one or two, to be quite fair. I focus on the next game.
No,
Well,
that's
say
true.
we got St. Mary's at home this weekend.
Yep.
That's number one. Can't look too far in advance. But no, I mean it'll be good to play at home. It's homecoming week, so it'll be exciting time for our boys and you know early kick, so we'll be able to actually watch football afterwards. So hopefully, when we're in the stands, we're speaking about being 1-0 in Lone Star Conference.
Yeah, we can have fans that watch football as the world knows it, and then
Yeah,
what football as America knows it.
exactly.
Well, Coach, congratulations on
Yeah,
the success that you've had in your previous 2 years, and let's hope this year we go to the LSC playoffs and
yeah,
advance into the deep rounds.
yeah, exactly. Thank you.
All right, well, that is going to wrap up the interview portion of Sports Lick. So what we'll do is we'll clear this out, and I'll finish up with an overtime right now. Earlier this week, I was saddened to learn of the passing of Dikembe Mutombo. He was a ferocious shot blocker back in the day in the NBA, and when he would block a shot, he'd always wag his finger and go, no, 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 no. He passed away at the age of 58. As if that wasn't bad enough, the same day I learned that Pete Rose, the all-time hits leader in Major League Baseball, also passed away. Yeah, I know Pete Rose was plagued with scandals in his life, mainly involving betting on his own team. But that guy could flat out hit. And, little known factoid, the day that he set the record for most hits, he set it against the San Diego Padres in San Diego. When I was in San Diego as a grad student, I was there at Jack Murphy Stadium the day that he set the record. So, rest in peace, Dikembe. Rest in peace, Pete Rose. Well, that will wrap up an overtime, and that will wrap up an episode of Sports Look. I'd like to thank my guests, Reagan Hardy and Brandon Mizuraka. Had a new floor director, had Hayden as the guy that was calling the shots here. So, for all those aforementioned people, this is Doc Elder saying, so long.